Hi, Susan Finley from Train Smarter, back today with a wrap-up of our conversations about 21st century abdominal training. The first item is that if you are doing exercises in the gym, strength training exercises in any fashion, you need to be using your abdominals when you're doing them. If you're not, you're doing those exercises wrong. Consequently, you don't need to do exercises specifically for your abdominals because you're using them all the time if you're doing those exercises right. The second thing is that planks are not a bad idea. It's a good idea to have that kind of core strength, but planks are not very functional. It's not like we need to be able to hold this position for long periods of time in real life. If you can hold a plank for more than 8 seconds, find a way to challenge your ability to hold that plank. Because while we need to be stable, we also need to be able to stable and move at the same time. Sit-ups and crunches, they're last century. Sit-ups use your hip flexors to pull you up, and the hip flexors attach in your spine. Crunches have a very limited value because, after all, considering that this is your full range of motion for your abdominal muscles, that doesn't really translate to an awful lot of other exercises in real life. Those two movements put a ton of stress on the spine, as we talked about with Stuart McGill's research on pig spines, and ultimately become an issue of risk-benefit. There's really not much that you get out of those exercises that make it worth it, except potentially rounded over posture and backache. Anything that uses your legs, hanging leg raises, bicycles, these sit-ups that people do where they do this kind of thing, if you're using your legs, you're using your hip flexors. Your hip flexors attach in your low back. Be very aware of that. Just because it feels like you're using your lower abdominals, no, you're feeling the activity of the hip flexors underneath the transversalis and pyramidalis. And let's stop talking about upper and lower abdominals. Anyway, they all work together. Obliques do not need to be trained separately from all the rest of your abdominal muscles. Obliques are stabilizers, and stabilizers are best trained stabilizing. So as we talked about, a lot of things like loaded carries are better ways to train your obliques because that's how you're going to need them to jump in and behave. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. We'll teach you how to train smarter.